Dallas-Fort Worth took 50 years to become one big unified metroplex, and Austin and San Antonio are about to try to do it in the next 20. We're talking about a major metroplex that is on track by 2040 to be 6 to 9 million people, making it the 4th or 5th largest metroplex in the entire country. And in this video, I'm going to show you why this is going to happen, where this is going to happen, and what it means for those people that are looking at moving to this area. Now, this isn't some trendy concept from the last couple of years. This is something that's been in the works since the Reagan administration. So in other words, this merger, as you can say, has been in the works for decades. And while there has been a lot of growth over the last few decades, the real growth is going to happen in those next 20 years. Currently, between San Antonio and Austin and the major metroplex areas surrounding both of those big cities, you've got about 5 million people. Well, by 2040, which is in the next 15 years, there's a lot of projections saying that range could be from 6 million to up to 9 million people. That would make the ASA Metro the 4th or 5th largest metroplex in the entire country. Now, Dallas-Fort Worth has become what it has become over the last 50 years, basically since the 70s when kind of that growth really started. And looking at San Antonio and Austin, there's not really any growth that has happened together up until late. So the next 20 years is really the time period that we're going to look at for when this major metroplex merger could occur. So here's the $1 million question. If you knew that DFW was going to become what it is today, where would you have bought in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the 1970s? Now, there's a million right answers to that question just with the sheer growth that that area has received. But the biggest growth, of course, has occurred in between those two cities, in the corridor cities, essentially, right? This is areas like Irving, Arlington, or Grand Prairie. Now, when we get to talking about the specific cities along our corridor here in Austin and San Antonio later, I'll tell you which ones are positioned exactly where Arlington and Irving were in the 1970s. So now let's talk about what's accelerating this merger and why it's happening now. And real quick, before we really dive deep into this explanation, if you are looking at moving to San Antonio, New Braunfels, any of these areas in this Austin-San Antonio corridor or San Antonio itself, I run the Life and SATX home group. My name is Michael McCall, guys, real estate agent here in San Antonio. Lived here my entire life. I'm going to give you some real stories about how I've seen this area grow over the last 30 years. But if you have any interest at all in looking at making this area your home, or if you need some help selling a house around here too, reach out to somebody on our team, myself or one of our team members, our agent partners will reach out and to do everything that we can to be a best resource to you guys. Whether you're looking at moving here in 2 days or 2 years, it doesn't matter to us. You can reach out to us in that description below. Schedule a call with us, call us, text us, email us directly, and we will do our best and do everything that we can to help you guys with that transition, with whatever you need here in this area. All right, so let's get into this. So what I feel is one of the biggest things that is driving a lot of this growth that we're seeing right now and what's going to happen over the next 20 years is that Austin has just exploded over the last 5 to 10 years. We saw it over through the pandemic. I mean, we saw prices just skyrocket. So many people were moving to Austin, and I think it's hit a capacity, right? And San Antonio, I think, is finally ready to accept some of the overflow and some of the growth that's happening in those corridor cities is going to begin to accept some of those people from Austin that, one, can't afford Austin anymore, but two, just people that, don't have any space to go anywhere in Austin. That's a whole nother conversation here. I mean, the median prices in Austin are up in the 500,000s. I mean, that's almost double some areas of San Antonio. So now what you're seeing is a lot of those companies that were considering Austin are now looking at more affordable options further south. San Antonio's pulling power really comes from 4 different factors. The first, of course, is the affordability, especially whenever it comes to housing. Whenever you can get a house at 30 to 40% less than you can up in Austin for basically the same house, that makes a massive difference when you're deciding where you want to put down your roots. Second is the massive infrastructure investment, which is occurring right now. We're going to break that down here in just a few minutes. Third is you have the very stable San Antonio market as a whole. I mean, we have Joint Base San Antonio, Military City USA, the healthcare infrastructure that we have. San Antonio historically has been very recession resistant to where we don't see these big, huge market crashes like you see in these big tech boom areas. And the fourth factor is that San Antonio has a lot more land to develop, a lot more flat land that's more available, and it just so happens to be the land that is in between San Antonio and Austin, just closer to that San Antonio side. But here's what makes this partnership, if you will, of Austin and San Antonio work, and that is the fact that San Antonio is very stable. They've got the military, the manufacturing, the medical, and the affordability, while Austin has the tech industries, the big innovation, the large corporate headquarter focus, right, that San Antonio just hasn't quite gotten to yet, but I have a feeling they will get to that point very, very soon. Between the two different cities, you've got a very diversified group of industries. So it creates a more stable environment when you don't focus just on one, hey, this is a big tech industry, and when tech goes down, everything goes down. But what's really going to make the difference is this connecting corridor, this I-35 corridor, and the $7 billion investment that the Texas Department of Transportation is making in this area right now. TxDOT is making that $7 billion investment in improving this roadway so that this future growth that is projected to come can actually sustain itself and can actually work. We're not talking small little changes here and there and updates just to making the road a little bit more drivable. We're talking about 40 miles worth of new lanes. We're talking about major interchange, revitalization, re-engineering. Some of the names of the big projects you need to know about: that's San Antonio NEX, Northeast Expansion. That is the big one that's covering about 20 miles worth of highways. And then you have the Austin Capital Express segments, which is actually a $5.6 billion investment that is broke ground back in 2024 and is expected to continue on through 2033 before it is officially completed. In a lot of these areas that they're starting to do these improvements, in places that already have some sections completed, you've seen upwards of 15% decrease in total commute times, with projections in these areas hoping to reach 30 to 40% decreases in commute times. And that, in my opinion, is the ultimate tipping point, because without that, they're just going to stay separate. San Antonio and Austin are going to stay separated. There's never going to be any real connection between the two unless you can really start to cross those people that are living in each area and make it physically possible for them to make those commutes and live in one area while commuting to another. Because right now, it's just not feasible. So now let's talk about some of these specific cities that I've already mentioned. So up on the north side of San Antonio, you have Boerne, Texas. Boerne is by far one of the most popular suburb areas of San Antonio, a place that I get tons of calls about. People love to move to Boerne. They love to live in Boerne. It's got great school district, a lot of really cool hill country town charm, and just a lot going for it. Now, it's not really on that corridor between Austin and San Antonio, so why am I even talking about it right now? Basically, what you have to look at is that with Boerne, you're about 85 miles from Austin, okay? That's a haul for sure. Boerne is a place that is very desirable for the people that are moving to San Antonio, okay? One, for the schools, because it's in the hill country, and just overall, it's just a great place to be. Now, when you look at the growth that has happened, it has grown from 12,000 people, just a decade ago, to now over 25,000 people, nearly doubling in size. But as you look at what could happen if you could open up the Austin employment opportunities to the places in Boerne, as remote work continues to be a more popular, acceptable solution for big employers and for high-paying jobs. A place like Boerne that is a very, very desirable place with a median price point in that $500,000 to $600,000 range, okay? That's going to be an option that people are starting to look at if they're commuting to Austin, and maybe just having to go to Austin. It makes doing that just a couple times a week much more bearable to be in a place like Boerne. Now, in my opinion, the most important piece of the entire ASA corridor is New Braunfels. New Braunfels is a place that whenever I was growing up, we were talking 30, 40,000 people there. It was a small town, and now it's at 110,000 people. Okay, so it has massively blown up over the last few decades and is going to continue to do that because now it has hit that exponential growth stage. New Braunfels has been named one of the 50 best places to live in the country by Money Magazine. It's got that German lifestyle, German influence. You've got downtown New Braunfels, which is some great entertainment, tons of shopping, restaurants. It's got everything that you need, including affordable housing. Median price point here is like the low to mid 300s, and a lot of stuff that is in that luxury price point as well, but for a more affordable range. We're talking $7 to $1 million instead of $1 million plus. You've also got really good rated school district in New Braunfels ISD and Comau ISD, but they have new schools that are being built there in Mayfair with the new elementary school, middle school, and potentially a new high school in the future as well. Especially with the number of residents that are going to be living in Mayfair, it makes complete sense to have a new high school on that side of town too. New Braunfels truly is the sweet spot. Now, when you look at San Marcos, it's very similar, just like New Braunfels has, but what San Marcos also has is Texas State University is a very, very big popular school here in this area. There's lots of kids that grow up going to high school in and around these areas and can commute into San Marcos because it's a little bit easier to get into, a little bit more affordable than say places like UT Austin, but you have kind of both options there, okay? Both of the two are actually kind of rivals, so you also have that kind of dynamic going for it. And the growth that's happening south of San Marcos, because you have all that farmland similar to what you have south of New Braunfels, that leads to a lot of developments that are going up there, and just all kinds of growth that's happening in that San Marcos area, similar to what you're seeing in New Braunfels. Not only that, if you look at New Braunfels, it's got the big Buc-ee's. That Buc-ee's was the largest Buc-ee's in the country at one point in time. And you may be wondering why I'm saying that, but if you know Texas, you know Buc-ee's, HEB, there's a new Buc-ee's that is going to be built in San Marcos. And while we're on that, let's talk Kyle and Buda. So they have exploded as well. Those suburb areas of Kyle and Buda have just grown and blown up. They were super, super affordable not that long ago, and they have definitely gone up in price, but they are still more affordable than a lot of the stuff that you get in Austin. And then there's Seguin. One thing that people don't know about Seguin is that you have the toll road 130 that goes up to Austin directly from Seguin. I know many people that live in Seguin and commute straight into Austin, and I know many people that live in Seguin and commute straight into San Antonio because they aren't having to deal with 35. So you have I-10 going into more industrial area, and on top of that, you're starting to see the development happen too. There is a huge new 500-acre development that is finally, it's been in the works for a long time now, but it is finally moving forward on that Interstate 10 corridor in Seguin. Now, each of these areas has their own risk profiles, okay? But let me talk to you about an area that I think personally is probably one of the greatest opportunities in this entire ASA corridor, and that is that Mayfair neighborhood. But you're looking at 6,000 new homes that are coming to Mayfair over the next several years as it's being developed. But it's not just that. It is meant to be its kind of own isolated community. Mayfair is going to be literally where you don't even have to ever leave that neighborhood, okay? You've got the elementary school, middle school. If the future plans out the way it should and they have that high school there, Costco is getting ready to open in Mayfair. It's going to have a huge central kind of park area, basically, with some different shopping options where the amenity center is going to be at. They have affordable homes in the $200,000 price range up to $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 homes. So you have so many different opportunities in Mayfair. I've had several folks that I've helped buy houses in this neighborhood. It is an amazing opportunity in my opinion. So again, if you have any questions whatsoever about Mayfair, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We can kind of work you through what the future looks like in this area and what it looks like for you personally and your family. Now, these don't come without risk. If you're looking at Mayfair, I'm definitely not saying that if you bought a house today and turn around and tried to sell it in 2 years from now that you're going to make all this money because of the price growth in this area. It's definitely not what I'm saying at all, especially when you look at the new construction and how long it's going to take to develop Mayfair. As I say in a lot of videos, guys, the new builds are a long-term play, minimum 3 to 5 years minimum, and that's with putting some money down. If you're a VA buyer looking at putting 0% down, don't expect to buy this house and be able to sell it for a profit in the next 2 to 3 years. And there's also a few risks when it comes to this entire thesis structure of this ASA corridor and what this growth is going to mean for this area. So let me talk to you about a few of these risks and challenges that I see could potentially derail this entire thing. First of all, you have the overall construction of the infrastructure. If this growth and this expansion of the highway doesn't work the way they are projecting it to work, with a 30 to 40% decrease in commute times, then we are still in the same spot we are today as we were 5 years ago, okay? And this whole thing could completely fall apart potentially. Second, and this is a big one that a lot of people always talk about, but this is the water scarcity issue, okay? San Antonio has the water reserves to theoretically support growth up until 2070. So that's quite a long ways out, okay, and gives plenty of time to plan for the future after that. But when you look at the corridor cities, you look at San Marcos, Buda, and Kyle, who have actually entered a water sharing agreement. And when cities are paying $120 million to discuss water sharing agreements, you know that is a genuine concern for them in the long-term future growth of their cities. And third, let's talk about the traffic reality, okay? Even with this expansion of 35 and all the improvements that they're projecting to make, you can still look at a great example of what happens when you have a massive highway with a lot of people going on it that still has crazy congestion, and looking at Katy, okay? And looking at Houston's Katy Freeway, that thing has 23 lanes in some sections and is still backed up quite a bit during rush hour. So it doesn't matter how big you make the highway, if there's enough people there, it's still going to make traffic a problem. And the fourth real risk, in my opinion, is that this is not an overnight situation. We're talking a 15 to 20 year projected investment. Okay, this is just a hypothesis of what we're seeing from all these different projections all over the place, and what we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years in these areas too. Another fifth risk or challenge, I guess you could say negative, however you want to put it, is that small town character. Again, you look at Bernie, 25,000 people. Just go to Bernie, and people that live in Bernie honestly hate how much Bernie has grown too, from 12,000 to 25,000. Well, think about how the people of New Braunfels feel when you look at growing from 30 to 40,000 20 years ago to 110,000 right now. That small town historic charm of New Braunfels, it can definitely get lost in the midst of all of this crazy quick development. So again, let's real quick break down. If you're looking at, making the investment in this ASA corridor, this Austin San Antonio Metroplex, where are the areas that you need to be looking at for what reasons? Okay, so that northeast side of San Antonio, that Schertz, Cibolo, New Braunfels area, even counting Seguin a little bit, you've got a lot more affordable housing, especially looking at Seguin, where you can get houses in the low 200,000, brand new construction, 230, 240, 250, up to 300. New Braunfels is kind of starting in that high 200s, starting at 300,000 really. So you've got a lot of opportunities for more affordable options there. San Marcos is very similar to New Braunfels, where San Marcos is more focused on you've got Texas State, you've got more of a college town vibe in some ways. And then when you look at Kyle and Buda, just altogether a place that has really grown quite a bit in value over the last few years, especially given the growth that Austin has seen. Now, if you're looking at Canyon Lake, if you want to be a true, more rural hill country focus, you look at Canyon Lake, there's a lot of affordable options there at Canyon Lake. This is all very long-term play, guys. And what I see is a really huge opportunity is honestly for what we see in America as a whole. We all know that Texas is kind of an epicenter of business growth, and where a ton of people from all over the country are moving for a wide variety of reasons. So there's going to need to be more growth and more housing options for people, and these flatter areas, these more developer friendly areas like Texas and Central Texas, as a kind of general note, are going to be the places that are able to build more housing and be able to give people the opportunity to get into some of those starter homes at a more affordable price, where they can really build a legacy for their family. Right? This is what the American dream is all about, and this Central Texas area is kind of the epitome of that, in my opinion, where you're going to still be able to attain that at some level compared to a lot of the places all over the country where it's just flat out not attainable. So here's the final question that I'll leave you guys with. Again, look at Dallas-Fort Worth, look what it is now, look at the massive metroplex that it is. If you could have bought in Dallas-Fort Worth in the 1970s, would you buy in the Austin San Antonio Metroplex today? Think about that as the possibility for where this could be in the next 20 to 30 years. Take that in mind, and as you're considering moving here, again, there's no pressure at all from us, but if you have any questions whatsoever about moving here and want to know what it's going to be like and what the areas are like right now, reach out to myself or someone from my team. Again, we're the Life in SATX home group, guys. Our goal is to be as great of a benefit to you as we possibly can, whether you're looking at moving here or whether you're just looking for more information. Again, and whether you're moving here in 2 days or 2 years, we don't care, guys. Reach out to us, email, text, call us, schedule a call directly with us. Somebody on our team can really guide you through this entire process and help you with whatever it is that you need. And again, I've lived here my entire life. I do everything that I can to make these videos as beneficial to you guys as I possibly can. In fact, I got another video that I would love for you guys to check out, talking about a lot of the suburb areas and the towns surrounding the San Antonio area and the San Antonio Metroplex. So take a look at that right here. If you found any value about this, guys, hit that subscribe button, and until the next one, we'll see you there.